Alright, I give up on tier list. I'll make a matchup chart instead. Oh, is that it? Okay, so here's what could be changed. Toon Link does not win. Toon Link might be the easiest link. Sonic could go to slight lose. Belmont might be slight lose. I don't know what to say about Plant. Low key. Yeah. Hero might be losing. I don't think it's that bad. Roy slight win. I think Roy's even at best. At the moment. A little confused at the Inkling placement, to be honest. Are you confused because you're used to hearing otherwise? What's so, like, shocking about it? If Wolf gets a lead, he just relentlessly runs. Yeah. Diddy loses in, like, pretty much most of the air-to-air battles. Laser is really good at disrupting everything. Really good against Diddy, especially when he doesn't have Banana. Has Reflector too. It's not as much of a variable in the matchup, but yeah, obviously it's... Wario could be even. I don't think Fox is a worse matchup. Holy shit, really? Wario's so heavy. Yeah, the matchup is hard. I think Samus is actually really doable. What about Sheik? I think Diddy wins. All the even matchups feel like losing because they're all so much easier to play than Diddy. Yeah, I mean, almost every character in the game is easier than Diddy. With all this, you still think Diddy's like top 20? Wait, isn't this matchup spread like really good? Isn't this like a top tier matchup spread? He is definitely a top tier character. Diddy is like amazing. This looks like a top 10 character. Yeah, I don't know if this is a top 10 spread. It's probably close. Joker could go to even. But I don't think Joker players play it that well. But in my head, I could see it being even. Kind of similar to Wolf in some ways, with like the running away with the lead. Isabelle and Villager are a slight win because regardless of what they have against Diddy, they just fucking suck. You can just be like a worse Mario and win. Or like a worse Fox and win. What do you think about the Belmont? There's a lot of stuff. Belmont's is like Samus, where I actually think if you play it really well, it could be slightly winning. So I rounded out at even, because I think if you play it poorly, it's easily a losing matchup. Why does Diddy do so well against PT? Their neutral is all so much worse. And they cannot get off the ledge. Do you think Hero could win the matchup? I think Hero is kind of like Belmont's and Samus, where I think... I actually have some experience with these matchups, and I think there's a lot of hope for it. So I like to put them in even for now. What do you think about Rosa? I actually think Rosa's fine. I guess I can go from character to character. Bowser is really good. The checkmate to this matchup is that he can't recover. I don't want to go through all these characters, actually. So Kazia is like a really good win for Diddy. But Kazia is so much easier to play and kills you in one hit. So obviously it's not going to look that good, but I promise it is that good. I'm trying to look at like ones that would concern people. Lucas. This is the type of matchup that Diddy would maybe have a weird time with. But Lucas is really floaty and slow. Doesn't do a lot of devastating stuff. Unless it's a specific thing. So you can just be a better character, I think. Game & Watch. It could be a slight win, but I actually think it's really good. Monkey Flip and Banana kind of destroy him. And you can have a pretty good disadvantage compared to most characters. But I think you have to know it really well. Kazia is a good matchup for Diddy, gets 0 to death anyway. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, Kazia is not easy to play. I'm going to say it again because you said it. Kazia is super easy to play. Sorry. Kazia has to worry about so much less in Smash than everyone else. You just get to play as a boss, where if you do one thing, you win. And you get 100 tries to do it. The fact that Electric isn't even frame perfect is actually hilarious. That people act like that's the hard part. It's hard to get his combos under pressure, I'd say. Just because, bro, having frame tight combos doesn't mean anything. You know what my frame tight stuff does? And I have more of it? It doesn't get me an insta-kill. His frame tight stuff that isn't even frame perfect is to kill you at 0. That's not hard. That is not hard. Everyone else's frame tight stuff doesn't just insta-kill and win the game. Yeah, my combos are frame perfect, and I have more of them. He simplifies the game to a ridiculous degree, and everything you hear about the difficulty is a complete lie. Literally just execution. You can train Kazia by just practicing alone in your room. Yep. So many variables just get deleted. But yes, it is a very good matchup for Diddy, and when I lose it in tournament, I know it's my fault. To not be super negative towards the character. Like, it is a very good matchup for me, and I should be winning it, but obviously, I can die at 0. Why is Rob so easy for Diddy Kong? It could go to slight win just because Rob is a really strong character, but there's a lot of things that are good about it. You can out of shield a lot of things without even having to parry, and if you do parry, it's even better. I think the hardest thing about it is sometimes taking stocks when he's recovering high, but overall, your neutral is stronger. He gets pinned on the ledge pretty easily. You can deal with gyro very well. You can deal with his ledge trapping very well. Robin isn't that easy. No, but it isn't an even matchup like Samus or Belmont's, I don't think. Dr. Mario is actually really hard sometimes, but he's Dr. Mario. Just gotta play clean. Puff could be a better than just Slight, but I don't know. Min Min is a pretty good matchup, but it's not like super win, because Min Min is just a really scary character. Palutena could go to even. She's really fast. She has crazy bursts. She's really fast on the ground and in the air and stuff. I think you can kind of play it like how a Cloud player would play it, or like a Roy player would play it. But overall, I'd still say it's slight win. But I think Palutena players exaggerate how hard the matchup is for her. I actually think she does fine. But I'll still give it to Diddy on this matchup chart. Kirby is weird to fight, but there is a way to do it, I think. I think Jigglypuff and Kirby are equally. Each of the slight win, you get to pull Banana a lot because of her neutral. If she pulls Turnip, you get a Banana, and she's really slow. And Diddy's aerials are actually fantastic versus Peach, but she's such a strong character that I wouldn't say better than slight win. I think Link's frame data on shield and his weight and his neutral makes the matchup really hard. I don't know a lot about it for sure, but I think it's kind of even. I think it's a matchup I would really need to learn specifically. I'm interested in learning more about it, but because some Diddy players like it more than me, but I've only played it a little bit and it's pretty tough. I actually think Young Link and Link are like pretty frustrating, but there's potential for both to be winning. Luigi I struggle with a lot. It could go to slight win though. I kind of want to put it in slight win. A lot of my experience with it is on Wi-Fi or like in scenarios where he's stronger than he truly is. So I don't know. I need to study it. I don't think Toon Link is even. Toon Link's floatiness and like his like projectile neutral isn't as overwhelming as the others, and he has worse frame data on shield. I think. I actually think it's a good matchup for Diddy. Mega Man, I actually think there's a lot of potential for it to be slight win. As I play it more, like at first I thought it would be like a losing matchup, but when I play it, I actually think it's pretty good. So I'll put it in even for now. Ness is a matchup I personally hate. A lot of my experience with it is online, unfortunately. It's just really hard. You have to play perfect to like not trade. But Ness and Luigi I view as kind of similar, where they could go to slight win. I don't think they could get any worse than even. And a lot of Diddy players actually like the Ness matchup, so... Me, Gunner, I don't know much, but I can see it being even at worst, so I'll put it there for now. I don't think it would be a losing matchup. Maybe? I don't know. Pikachu is a matchup I have a lot of faith in, but I'm holding an L for now because of how hard I got bodied by Esam previously. But I think a lot of the notes I have and a lot of the preparation I have is actually not bad. I actually think the matchup isn't like terrible. Aegis could be even, but it could also sometimes feel like slight win or slight lose. I'll go with even for now. Most Aegis players think Diddy wins, so I'm not going to go as far as to say it's a losing matchup for Diddy. But Aegis is so much better as a character and has a lot of crazy speed, kind of like what I was talking about with Palutena, where I can't see it being that bad for Aegis. You can play against Diddy without banana a lot of the time, and Diddy has such bad air mobility that you can really deal with the monkey flip or no monkey flip mix-up. Belmont and Samus, I think there's a lot of tech to make the matchup doable, but I'll say even for now just because of how much easier they are to play than Diddy, and you just lose. Sonic is a matchup I've played a lot, but unfortunately it's online as well. But I do think I'm pretty solid at it. I think Diddy is one of the better characters against Sonic. If you get the first big opening or the first stock or something, you can really play it well. But if the reverse happens, then you can't win, in my opinion. So it's tough that a matchup is boiled down to like a few decisions. But he's better at it than most. Wario is weird. His hurt box is really small, and I feel like it's really hard to get valuable things against him, but it's also a matchup I've not played a lot at all. Falco, I think, is the easiest spacey because of his lack of ground speed and lack of airspeed. He has like vertical height, but that doesn't help for Diddy other than like juggling him. And I would even say it's pretty good. Roy is just too fast and strong. You don't get to play with banana that much. I have a hard time with his hurt box sometimes. I actually have a hard time edge guarding him with Diddy too. He's just a terrifying character, and he's also one of the easiest characters in the game to play. So it's really hard for me. But I could see it being slight win instead of even too. Most of my experience with it is online. Hero is interesting because I think versus Hero, you have to be the aggressor. If you pull banana too much, then he gets to choose his menu. Where if you compare that to Peach, that's usually a lot more dangerous. So I think you have to play at a range where he at least has to hesitate with his menu, or you just have to swing. So it's kind of like one of those matchups where I think you have to win neutral and then pull banana or something. But in some scenarios, it doesn't feel that bad. Young Link, I actually think this matchup is kind of like Link, where I couldn't see it being a losing matchup, but obviously it's the type that's kind of frustrating for Diddy. Ice Climbers, I don't know. I know nothing about this matchup. The little notes I have in my head didn't really get me that far versus Big D. I could see it with a very extensive game plan being much better than a lot of the other losing matchups. But for now, I'm just going to say it's a losing matchup and just hope I learn more in the future. So for Mario, I feel like Mario doesn't care much about banana, kind of like Wario. The way he moves in neutral, he's very hard to open up. His air game is really good, and his hurt box is pretty small, and at mid-range he can still kind of play grounded. I think a solid like neutral defensive Mario that can still hit really hard can play well versus kind of just play it with Wario, like lots of platform movement, try to approach maybe with the fireball, like try to wait out until the Diddy gets rid of banana, and then if it's Mario versus Diddy with no banana, I think Diddy gets smoked. I don't think Corrin's a losing matchup, no. Some of these win and slight wins, I don't know for sure, but they're in one of those tiers. Curious on what makes the Mii Fighter matchup so different from the Fox matchup. That's insane. I don't think they're even similar. Mii Brawler doesn't do like 70 to 100 damage per hit. And then doesn't have like a kill confirm that's safe on shield. Plant was a troll. No, it wasn't. I just don't have a lot of experience, but I can see it being annoying. I'm surprised Diddy slightly loses to Lucario. Yeah, I think Diddy slightly loses to Lucario at best. It's actually one of his worst matchups. Lucario has amazing frame data, amazing mobility. Hard shot neutral is obviously really tough. He has a lot of better tools on shield than Diddy too. A lot of his moves are really good on shield. Most shocking thing. You think Lucario beating Diddy is shocking? Olimar. There's a lot of damage that's really hard to mitigate in this matchup, but it's one of the better losing matchups, I think. I think if you play it really well, it can feel like an even matchup if your advantage state is really strong. Snake, I think the hardest thing about Snake is it is truly hard to kill him. A lot of Diddy's confirms take a while, so there's always a grenade exploding. Your best way to kill him is if you catch like a rising recovery, if you like meet him there early. It's really tough. You get chipped away easily, it's really hard to kill, and the way you kill becomes really obvious because a lot of them are off the table. The matchup's really tough. Wario, it's kind of like Mario where he can play a really linear airborne game, but you actually can't do as much about it as if it compared to if another character tried to replicate it. He's a character that doesn't have to do something specific to do well versus Banana. Diddy does it, or Wario does really well versus Banana. And he doesn't have to grab the ledge often, so he's one of the heaviest characters in the game. And he's never really put in a dangerous position to die consistently. So it's one of the harder matchups for Diddy. I think there's a world where you can play it really well. Well, I've beaten Gluto overall more than he beats me. I don't know how that what the head-to-head is with Diddy specifically, but I've won a bunch of times. So I think if you play it really well, you can just not get hit. But the neutral is losing for sure. Violet is either like a slight win or like a, or where did I put Violet? Is Violet not on here? Where the fuck is Violet? Oh, right here. Violet is either a slight win or a big win. I think Violet's best strengths in this matchup are, despite being slow, Violet has so much range that you can actually keep Diddy in disadvantage. But overall, it's a pretty hard matchup. Diddy gets banana all the time. That's always tough. You don't think you lose to Villager because no banana? I think Diddy probably still wins even when the banana's taken. You can just scrap better than Villager. Wolf is a matchup I've played a lot. There's a lot of things Diddy can do, but I think overall Wolf probably has a slight advantage. Wolf is fast enough in the air and stuff to do significant damage to Diddy per hit. Laser is fantastic in the matchup, but Diddy can edge guard really well with Z drop and F tilt. There's some specifics you can do versus Wolf. Overall, he beats Diddy in the air-to-air, and his hurt box can be really tough. But sometimes it can be even, I think, if you're a master at it. Steve is a weird one just because he's always improving, and he always has something crazy. But I actually don't think Diddy does terrible. But it's hard to say that it's even or something like that. Like, I remember a while ago on the podcast, I talked about how it feels like Steve is moving the goalpost. That's how it feels when I'm playing Diddy versus Steve. It feels like you show him something that you can do that can counterplay him, and then he shows you two more things. And it's just like, Diddy has tools for certain things, but he can only go so deep in his bag before Steve just wins. Like, yeah, Steve is just way too, like, I guess overpowered and significantly easier to play. So it's crazy how much you have to do just to maybe win. But I think Diddy does pretty well. Better than some other characters, and better than you'd expect for the type of character Steve is. Usually Diddy would just lose to that. Why is Diddy really good against Meta Knight? Meta Knight doesn't have a lot of air mobility, and his neutral can be really grounded. He gets smoked by Monkey Flip and Banana. He has multiple jumps, but he doesn't go anywhere. Fox is really tough. Fox is so fast in terms of his fall speed and his ground speed that a lot of the times when you commit, he might already be avoiding it and hitting you. Like, for example, if I try to air with a banana or like a forward air, like, a lot of your commitments put you at risk of losing your stock. So it's terrifying. And obviously, if Diddy gets put in disadvantage, he doesn't have airspeed, so Fox doesn't have to deal with, like, oh, is he going to monkey flip or not? Because he can hit you no matter what. It's really difficult. There's a lot of things I study, like, every day for this matchup. But obviously, the speed means you might be fighting without banana a lot of the time, and a lot of the time I actually prefer to fight without banana. And then Duck Hunt. Duck Hunt has a lot of stuff on the screen to block banana and put pressure on you all the time. But it's not a matchup I'm super experienced in, but it's usually just common knowledge that Diddy players lose this matchup. It's kind of like how Hydran is tough for Diddy, but there's like a bunch of it on the screen all the time. And then Pac-Man, Hydran is really annoying. You can't just get rid of it that easily. And he has a weird trip animation, which is just a funny icing on the cake scenario. You can't get easy kills. He's kind of scarily heavy, and you don't get like valuable hits because there's always a hydrant or he's always running away from you. It's kind of like Snake, where you're always getting chipped away while not being able to get valuable hits. Basically, I'm just getting camped and timed out until the game is over. Overall, like, there's some things I would change for this. Like, on another day, maybe my mood's different. Some of these even matchups are winning or losing, but overall, Diddy is such a strong character. He's a lot of fun, and he can win tournaments for sure.